first of all, thank you all for being here. This was like 3 months of hard work. It's my first project, my first event. I'm sweating. Thank you.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Thank you, Kaleel, for being here
My
and
pleasure.
like christening my first thing.
It's an honor.
Thank
It's an
you.
honor. Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely.
How are you?
I'm good. Nervous
Yeah.
for some reason, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm good. I'm
It's
good.
Literally nothing but family
Yeah.
here.
For sure.
So I guess when I saw your pitch in the beginning, I really wanted to know what's the difference between Kaleel John and King Chosen.
Well, I would say Kaleel John is a man of God. He is a poet. He's a son.
Mm-hmm.
He is a father, a husband. I think that King Chosen is the unfiltered artist, you know, the writer, the poet. Yeah, unfiltered artist is what I would describe him as.
When did King Chosen, when was he born, King Chosen? Or when do you feel like
That's a
he
good question.
started?
I think King Chosen was always there, you know, but I think that persona kind of came to be over time. The name Chosen, someone told me one time when I was in high school, it's like, do you know what your name means? And I said no. And the individual began to tell me, your name means closest friend, right? And he's like, chosen. And the root word, it's like biblical and stuff like that. So it kind of gave me an identity, you know, where I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm chosen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm chosen. And over time, I began to see the meaning of my name come to fruition, you know, becoming a good friend, a great friend, and, you know, seeing how that manifests. So the king part just kind of let me tap into my royalty, you know, who I feel I am, you know, a child of God, African lineage, Caribbean lineage, kind of merged together, you know. So, yeah, it's just like a combination of both.
So when would you say, so you're slowly, I guess, growing into King Chosen
Yeah.
and like solidifying yourself in that, when would you say is like the first moment you really attached to King Chosen?
I would say that, you know, when I started, because I would write growing up.
When did you start writing?
Oh, okay, that's another question. I started writing in elementary school,
Okay, cool.
like short stories, different things like that. But the poetry, I remember writing poetry like when I was young, but I don't remember exactly what I wrote, except for this one time, because back in the 90s, it was like R&B season, you know, like, you know, guys just trying to be romantic and any kind, if you can't sing, you're writing, you're dancing, you know, all of that stuff. So my thing was writing. Okay. So in order to, like one of my friends, he knew that I could write. And he was like, listen, you know, I like this girl. We both knew who it was. Could you write a poem for me? And
That's before the group chats?
yeah, this is before the group chats, man. Yeah. Wow, this is like 94.
Okay, when
So,
I was born.
oh snap! Yeah, kind of ages me, right? But I was in elementary school and I wrote him a poem for his girl, and she loved it, and I was like, damn,
King Chosen is born.
I was like, this is what's up, you know. The poem was, love is like a dove that keeps on flying by. Whenever you need it, it will be there, abiding by your side. I didn't know what abiding was, but it just was just flowing through me. I was like, yo, and they loved it. So it was that acknowledgement, because I knew, like, I would just do stuff to express myself. But it was at that point where someone was like, yeah, this is good. You know, where I came to that acknowledgement. I'm like, man, I could do this. I didn't see so far into the future,
Yeah.
obviously, but it was a means of expression at that stage.
And like, what do you feel, I guess, as you're exploring yourself through King Chosen and like through, I guess, letting King Chosen also be friends to your friend, what do you feel like you learned the most from allowing that to like flourish outside of knowing that like you like to write?
That I could be myself, that I could be myself, that, it wasn't, like I didn't really have to care what people necessarily thought, like against what I was doing or against who I was, because that's how God made me, so yeah, I just realized that I can be myself unfiltered. I could be myself unapologetically, so yeah, that's what I would say is one of the biggest things that stand out.
And what's the way you feel like you like shared a small snippet of that poem? How do you feel like your writing evolved?
Man, I lived, I feel like, honestly, I feel like I lived like 2 lifetimes, based on the things that I've been through, tragedies, loves, lost, experiences is what kind of differentiates between now and then. Yeah.
Did you find, for me, I feel like I've been writing for a while. Only recently did I really start writing what I understand, I feel. When did you start understanding yourself through your writing? Because sometimes I feel like we write because we need to let it out, but we're not even understanding what it is that we're letting out. When do you feel like?
I feel I always had an understanding.
Okay.
Because it was, even though I felt like at the time I had this gift of the gab where I was able to communicate my feelings, there came a point in my life where I guess I wasn't able to really express certain things. And
what did you feel like you weren't able to express?
like anger.
Okay.
Like you might see me get upset, but you don't know why, or the feelings, or maybe I might not even know like the real reasons. So it helped me to like, it was, the perfect word would be therapy. It was my therapy, so sitting down, writing exactly how I felt, I just felt like it flowed so much better than me just speaking, like exactly, like if you were to read it, you will understand exactly my mind frame, unless I'm being cryptic, then you have to like kind of decipher certain things, but you'll get it'll be a better picture, like I paint a picture.
And as you're like going through your writing, I went through my old journals and I was like, ooh, girl, like what's going on? When you're looking at your old writing, how do you feel like your self-concept changed or your understanding of yourself evolved?
Sometimes I read some of my stuff, I'm like, did I write this? It gives me clarity, because sometimes in a moment I just need to write it, I get it out, I close the book or the computer and I move on, going back to like, even like writing this book was a process, like, cause I had to go back, proofread all these kind of things. And I'm like, damn. Then I read some of them. I remember like being like the situations I was in, and I'm like, my self-concept, it just made me identify as an artist, because I never really identified as an artist before. Like I just was like Kaleel, King, chosen, when necessary, and but it really helped me tap into like Kaleel. I would say my first show that I did really kind of solidified that for me. that I was a performer as well.
Yeah.
And I never, like, I knew, like, back in the day, like, you know, I used to act, like, not anything major or anything like that, but, you know, it just really, I was like, wow, you can really, it's the stuff you wrote is not only for reading, it's for performing. Like, you can actually perform this and get your feelings, let people see and understand exactly, you know, what you're feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question.
You answered
Yeah.
as well. When I look at you perform, I think that's like the one thing that I really enjoyed when going through like your archive of work. It's true, is that even the words you're using, they are like, you feel them, you embody your words so well. I felt like that was really impressive. When going through publishing and scrutinizing your work, essentially, like, how's that? Because I feel like for me, working on my book that I co-authored with some lovely people in this room, having someone go back on my work, or even myself going back on my work, I was like, how was that for you?
Tough.
Yeah.
Very tough. I'm very sensitive about my stuff sometimes. Because my writing is my soul on paper. It's me. It's who I am. It's the culmination of who I've been throughout the years. I may not be the same person that I was writing, you know, specific poems through, you know, specific times, you know, because I've evolved. But, you know, I'm still sensitive. I still want people to see the journey. You know what I mean? So my wife, she's my publisher, and you know, that wasn't she's brilliant. She's brilliant, but that wasn't the easiest thing for me, because she's about, like, you know, like,
Yeah, it's a whole different
yeah,
perspective.
it's a different perspective. And me, I'm just like, yeah, I want to keep that in there. You know,
That's me. Yeah,
you
that
know,
extra
that's me.
S at the end.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, or
Yeah.
even the words. Like, I make up words sometimes so that it flows. But you'll still get what it is. Like, what is this? What does this mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't want to have to explain what it is. It's art. You know what I mean? Or even, just even the format of how the book was kind of put together. But she did an amazing job in the end, and. You know, it just made me realize that, you know, there's the art and then there's the business. You know, there's the art side and there's the business side, right? So the publishing is very important. It needs to be formatted in a certain way. It can't be too close to, you know, the margins. It has to be within this, especially if you're doing it on Amazon and so forth,
And
right?
when you're going through the writing and like just talking about like even the words you're choosing, how do you kind of decide for yourself, this needs to stay, this must go? Like, what did you learn from that process, even like as a writer?
That's a good question. What did I learn? I learned that I don't have to have complete control, you know, that other opinions are important, you know, especially those who are around you in your circle. And, you know, especially if they love you, they're there to help you make it better. Can you repeat the question again so I can,
So while you're writing and you're having to choose kind of what words stay, what goes, what are you learning as a writer?
Yeah, I think I'll stick with what I said before. But not to be overly sensitive.
Yeah.
You know, to take constructive criticism. You know, it's important. You know, like, it can't be, like, it's my heart, right? So obviously I'm going to be sensitive about it, but I have to be aware that there are other things at play, and I really have to make sure that my message comes across as clear as possible. So I have to go back again and say, okay, would this best serve the agenda or best serve the mission? And if not, then I can look from a certain perspective and be like, okay, I can put this aside, or this does not need to be in this right now. This does not reflect me as in my ability or inability to be creative and do something perfect one time. Like it's a process, right? Yeah.
And you were saying during the process of publishing, you have business and art. You spoke a lot about your faith, being a man of God. How does that create a whole?
Well,
Yeah.
because I believe God gave me the gift, so I want to honor him, you know what I mean, and show it in the best light possible, and because I believe like I feel like this is like, my book is like my testament, you know what I mean? It's like my ups and downs, my trials and tribulations, my woes, like everything, my proverbs, my psalms kind of thing. So I feel like faith-wise, I feel like God gave me that as a means to express myself and a means to deal with anxiety, to deal with depression, to deal with loss, grief, to deal with all these things, these tools, as it were. I would say that it even reflected, especially like where I'm at right now, in my beliefs, like certain poems I felt I couldn't put in the book. Like I was like, yo, I'm gonna put this in. I just felt God like, nah.
That's for you.
Yeah, you can't do that. And I'm like, all right, and it was in that obedience I felt like doors started just opening for me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, can I trust you? Yeah, you're talented. Yes, I gave that to you, but if I tell you don't do it, would you still do it?
Like, what are you doing with your power?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I honor him with my gifts, man, and I love to see when others honor, with their gifts, flowing their gifts and their creativity. Like what you're doing right now. This is blessed.
Ooh, thank you.
Yeah, for real.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I want to listen to Stats and Stereotypes and My Brand of a Man.
Okay.
Look.
Man, I wasn't expecting it, but hey, let's go. You interrogating me? You interrogating me? Okay. All right. You want the truth? I'll give you the truth. Every woman that I've ever been with, I've beaten. They act up, I'll lay the smack down. I got 10 kids with 9 different women. I've been to jail over 7 times before my 21st birthday. I get into fights on a regular basis. I walk around with a chip on my shoulder, ready to blame everyone for my problems. I will beat you, I will rob you, and yes, I kill. Why do you look so alarmed? Aren't those some of the same thoughts that will be going through some of your minds right now? You're saying, I bet he's been to jail. Is it hard to tell? It's easier to lump me in and fear me than spend time getting to know me. They say, it's more likely for a black man to go to jail than to go to college. My brothers, my sisters, I will not be the stereotype. And I will not be the image that might be coursing through some of your minds. He is caressing corners, handing out packets of pure bliss, takes away the lives with the kiss of connected hands. It's hard to stand up in this world and be a real man. Hey, Hey, black man, real men don't cry, back down, or take back chat from no woman. These statements are open doors for emotionally unstable men, men with no outlets for the welling up of stubborn pride, rigid, they can't bend, may break, got to escape the odds. I escaped the odds. Thus far, I am not a stereotype. I mean, even if I fit it before, I no longer fit it. I'm bigger and louder than that stereotype. I am not a stereotype. Even if I fit it before, I no longer fit it. I'm bigger and louder than that stereotype. So I have the ammunition to fight. The ideals of the day and the stigma of the past. I'm bigger than that stereo sound. Life's popular sound. And what it says about this generation. Of what it says to be black. I rebel against the stereotype. I will not leave my children fatherless. I will work a job until I can own my own business. The white man is not my problem. I am my worst enemy and one of my greatest allies. Without my cooperation, I will die. I will not beat my women. I will cherish her as life itself, my sister, my love, my friend. I am not, and I will not become a part of an inmate population. It is not in my innate nature. I am louder than that popular message, that old sound, that ancient story that the stereo plays about me. I'm a giant in this world, larger than life. I will leave my mark, and it will be large. They will know me. They will know my name. This is not a claim for fame, but a shout for change. I am a businessman. I'm a writer. I'm a producer of television and film. I invest in real estate. I put deals together. People trust me. I am trustworthy. I am creative. I am focused. I know what I want. My image is now out there, and it plays through the stereo. No longer hearing the stereotype. My image is loud. It is proud. My brand of a man. Thank you. Sorry for the hiccups.
Oof.
Man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, when I heard that piece, I saw myself as, I guess, having escaped the stereotype of the woman who dates the man you're describing. And I felt that message was so important because I relate to it, obviously, on the woman's perspective of it. Mm-hmm. Why was it important for you to talk about that for you?
It's important because it's the narrative, that we hear about the black man, even prejudices that we have on our minds against ourselves while interacting with others of the same race or others of a different race. It's embedded, it's ingrained. I felt the need to shine light on it in a creative way. This piece I actually wrote when I was in college, and it was for a creative writing class. And
is it the English creative writing class?
No, this I'm not sure. This was in Toronto when I was in Toronto, and they gave us like certain topics, and I felt like it was really important for me to creatively express in a way to kind of draw people in, where it's like, every woman that I've ever been with I've beaten. So I'm like, yeah, I believe that. You know, I believe that. They act up, I laid a smack down. I beat them. You know, this is, you know, that thing like all black men, like enough black men beat women, beat their women. And I just wanted to shine light, like an aggressive light on it, and then show the contrast. Show that, like the stereotype, I made the correlation between a stereo and a stereotype. The stereo's type, you know, this is the stereo's message. This is the thing that you're hearing the loudest out there. This is the thing that you're seeing the loudest, you know, and just kind of showing like we're not all like that. And though this happens in every race, for some reason it's amplified.
It's almost like you're saying the stereo. I feel like when you're listening to mainstream music, sometimes I listen to my own, but I'm like, what are you listening to? And it's just like, why is this what we're pushing forward? And I'm a strong believer that what you listen to is low-key what you will embody.
100%.
I grew up listening to music that obviously, I'm going to use the word toxic, you know, and I had to divorce it. At what point did you, or if you had to, did you divorce the mainstream narrative or the understanding of it even?
Because I felt like you battle with these things, right? Going to jail, you know, I have family that's been to jail. You know, all these things are around me. You know, so it can influence you to a certain degree. But for me, I believe my faith played a big part in it. Others might attribute it to other things. But I was like, this can't be me. I rebel against this narrative. You know, I rebel against what you think you know about me. I'm an individual. As much as I'm part of a collective race of people or part of a people, I'm an individual, you know, and I have the power to change who I am, not how you perceive me to be, but who I am, you know. So this was an artistic way to show, like, listen, this is there. I know this is what you think of me or what you might think of me, or, you know, it might not be this specifically. It may be something else, you know, but I don't fit that. You know, I don't fit that. I'm something else. This is what I am. Play this through your stereo. Let this be the sound that plays through, you know.
And what is your influence of like keeping you, I guess, on this path of being the best as much as you can, but the best version of yourself? Like, what was the influence? What was the impact?
Influence is people around me, man. Right? People around me who are doing well. People around me who are successful. People who are following their dreams. People who are running after their dreams. People who want to leave a legacy. You know, people who want to die empty. You know, those people inspire me. You know, and though we're not perfect. We're not perfect humans. I never claim to be perfect, but you know, just having those marks, those benchmarks to run after or to chase, to become the best version of yourself, has always been paramount. I have people around me that don't want to see me fail, you know, that want the best for me, you know, so I feel like that is a major contributor, yeah.
And I guess last, but not least, what do you want people to remember from your journey, your work, your book, your energy?
It's a good question. Yeah, some good questions. I want people to know that I went after it, that I fought fair and I won. You know, I'm telling you, if I tell you, like, I was so afraid to speak in front of people at one point, like, just afraid. Like, you asked me to do this, I'm freezing up, I'm sweating, I'm I'm just palms, everything. I'm like, to fight that resistance, you know, to fight that resistance and be who you're supposed to be, to shine. You know, I want people to be inspired to go after what they want. I want people to be inspired to die empty, because we're all gonna die. You know, we're all gonna die. But when we leave here, what mark have you left? Were you just in yourself? Were you just selfish? You know, don't be selfish. You know, don't be selfish. Share your gifts with the world, and do it man, I don't know why I have problems with that word. Unapologetically. That's the word. You know? Yeah, that's what I would say for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Kaleel John, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That wraps it up.
Sweet. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for coming.
Yo, thank you for having me. That was blessed.
And thank you for the live performance.
Oh, man.